So, review of direct variation. As X increases, Y increases. As one thing gets bigger, so does the other. It's like the money for your job. The more hours you work, the more money you make. Our equation was Y equals KX. K is the slope. It's also called the constant of variation. And it is a line that goes through the origin. So that's all the stuff that we just reviewed. Today we're going to do inverse variation, which is the exact opposite. As X increases, what do you think Y does? Decreases. The example I usually use for this is how fast you're going in your car and the time it takes you to get somewhere. Follow me on this. The faster you go, the less time it takes. Do you see that? As one thing goes up, the other thing goes down. The more your speed, the less time it takes to get there. You get there quicker. They're all just kind of staring at me, but did that, like, you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So instead of Y equals K times X, it's Y equals K divided by X. So again, it's the exact opposite of what we just did. So you multiply the X and the Y values to get the constant of variation. So that K value is called your constant of variation. So let's review our direct variation. If I go and plot those, so let me share my screen. I'm just going to go and plot those points, 5, 1, 10, 2, 15, 3. There they are. What is our slope? It's up how much and then over how much. And if you can't count the little boxes, like if you can't see it up here, use the numbers to help you as well. Like, what do you see here? Like, what is, 5. But it's up 1 over 5. So what's your K value? 5. If it's up 1 over 5, 1/5. Good. So Y equals 1/5 X. Here's the other way you can tell. If you take 1 over 5, see how that's 1/5? If you take 2 over 10, oh my gosh, what does that reduce to? 1/5. You guys see what I'm doing here? 3/15 would also be 1/5. All right, so I want you to, type them in and look at it. Make sure they make a line, but you can also just use the numbers to do that. Now for inverse variation, you literally just multiply them together. I'm trying to do this without a calculator. Hey guys, what is -4 times -3? Good, 12. How about -2 times -6? 12. And 3 times 4? They're all 12. Do you see that? Now it's going to be Y equals 12 over X. So when you multiply them like that, that's an inverse variation. Now you're going to have to use your common sense for these. Sales to a baseball game are $12,000 when 800 people attend. Is that direct? One thing goes up, the other thing also goes up? Or is it inverse? As one thing goes up, the other goes down? Good. It is direct. The more people that go to the baseball game, the more what? More money they're going to make. Now, how could you find the K value? Let your instincts kick in. If this is how much money they made, and that's how many people went, what do you want to do with those two numbers to get your K value? If they made, do what? Divide them. You're correct. You're going to take 12,000. Oops, is that too many zeros? There you go. Divided by 800. Do you see what I'm saying? And what does that represent? That 15 represents what? If they made 12, it is K. If they made $12,000 for 800 people attending, what does the 15 represent? How much what? How much the ticket was. That's how much one ticket cost, was $15. So it's going to be Y equals 15X. Means if you want to go to that baseball game, it costs $15. 5 workers can complete a project in 24 days. The more workers you have, the less days it should take. In theory, the more people you have helping, the less time it should take. Do you get what I'm saying? Yes. Okay, so it's going to be what? Direct or inverse? It's inverse. And all you have to do is multiply those together. Again, for inverse, you just multiply them. So we're going to do 5 times 24. Does anyone know that one? I don't expect you to really, but
110. No.
Estimation is a good skill to have. You're really close. 120. So it's gonna be y equals, now it's not 120x, how would I write it for inverse?
120.
Right, there we go, see how quick and easy that was when you listen? Yeah. Alright, so for the following tables, we're gonna determine what type of variation. If you multiply them together, it's inverse. If they make a straight line, it's direct, or if you divide them, it's direct. And then write the equation. So look at this one. I would kind of just look at the numbers and see what happens there. Do you see how if you multiply 5 times 3, you're gonna get 15?
Yes.
If you multiply these two, do you also get positive 15?
No, yes.
Yes, and how about these two?
Yeah.
Yes, so is that direct or inverse when you multiply them like that? It's inverse. No, they're actually opposites. And then how would you write the equation? K is 15, so it'll be y equals over x. Good, perfect. All right, now when you look at this one, I would type them in, like if it's your SOL, I want you to use the calculator in every way that you possibly can, and see if it makes a straight line. Now, if you multiply them, what's 10 times 4? It's 40. 15 times 6 is not 40, all right? So multiplying them together is not going to work. So which one is it, direct or inverse? It's gonna be direct. And watch, here's how you can figure it out. If you put y over x, we've got 4/10. What would that reduce to? 4/10. It'd be 2/5. And then let's try it again. If you do 6/15, does that reduce to 2/5? Well, here's what you can do if you don't have a clue. 6/15. And then how do I turn it back into the fraction? Yeah, a little blue button. Look, it's 2/5. Oh my gosh. So that's 2/5. 8/20 will also reduce to 2/5, and 10/25 will also reduce to 2/5. So your K value is 2/5. It'll be y equals what? 2/5 x. Good. And if you were to plot them in the calculator, your slope would be up 2 over 5. And you use the calculator in every way you possibly can. When you're taking that SOL, the first thing you should do for every problem is how can I type this in the calculator? Okay? So let's work out a few of these. Y varies inversely as x. That means you're going to write y equals k over x. Remember how direct it was y equals k times x? This time it's just a fraction. It's the only difference. Now you're just looking for numbers to plug in. Y is -14, so put that in for y. When x is 12, so you're going to put in 12 for x. What would you do to, can you close your remote? Well, you can't until Cody comes back anyway, so why don't you take note? What would you do to both sides to solve that for k? Times 12. So I'm going to go to the calculator. I'm going to type in -14 times 12. I don't know what that is off the top of my head.
Wait, let me try it.
Yeah, estimation is a good skill to have. I mean, 12 times 12 is 144, so it'll be like a little bit more than that.
182. Darn it.
Yeah, you overshot that a little bit. It's -168 is our K value. And then you start back over. It's the exact same thing we did with direct variation, except you have a different, formula. So you put that back in for K, y equals -168 over x. And then go to where it says find in the problem. This is saying to find what? Find x when y is 21. So you're going to put 21 in for y. Now this is a little bit weird when the variable you're looking for is in the denominator. I'm going to tell you what to do, but I want to throw the question out there. Like, do you know what you would do to start solving that?
But times -168.
Well, you'd have to times by x. You have to multiply by what's in the denominator. So it is a little bit weird. You have to multiply by x. So that gives you 21x equals -168.
Now you do -21.
Well, divide by 21. So I'm going to type in -168 divided by 21. I got -8. Oh, I forgot to hit share for that, but -8. I just typed it in the calculator. All right, let's try it again. Y varies inversely as x. What does that mean you're right? Y equals k over x. Thank you. And now we look for numbers to plug in. X is -6, Y is 2. So put in 2 for Y and -6 for X. What would you do to both sides? Yep, multiply by -6. What's that gonna give you over here? -6 times 2. -12. Perfect. Hey, up here. So then you start back over, you're gonna write y equals -12 over x, because now we know what the k value is. And then you wanna go to wherever it says find in the problem. What are we trying to find? It says find what? Find y when x is -7. So you're gonna put in -7 for x. Now 12/7, would that reduce 12 over 7? It would not. The only thing that's gonna happen is the negatives will do what? Yeah, make it positive. So you would just write positive 12/7. Good job. All right, so let's read this one. A man drives to work at a speed, average speed of 54 miles per hour. The reason it says average speed is, and use your common sense here, does he go 54 the entire way there? No, like sometimes it's faster and sometimes it's slower. It averages out to 54, all right? The drive takes 20 minutes. The reason it's inverse is the faster you drive, the what? The lower the time, all right? As one goes up, the other goes down. So we're gonna write y equals k over x. Now, usually I make the time be the y value. It actually doesn't matter which one you make which though. I'm gonna plug in 20 for y and 54 for x. If you wanted to do it the other way around though, it actually doesn't matter. So you can't mess that up. What would you do to both sides to solve it? Multiply by 54. The other thing you can do is go, oh, it's inverse, I multiply them, and just multiply them together, right? 54 times 20, you want to estimate that one? You want to give it a guess before I type it in?
Right. 54 times 20, 1,015.
Good, you're close, 1,080. 1,008, yeah, I mean, estimating is an important skill to have. Just want to like get a quick rough answer. All right, so then you start back over, it's y equals 1,080 over x. And then you want to go to the place where it says find, or like, what is the question? That this one I don't think says find, but yeah, what is the average speed going home? So the drive home took 32 minutes. For x. And again, you honestly could have plugged it in the other way around. It doesn't make a difference. What I'm going to end up typing in the calculator is 1,080 divided by 32. What are you looking at over there? How's it here? You. Can you look up here? 33.75. Now it's a word problem, so it's 33.75. What? What are the units? Read back through the problem. Usually the question will tell you, it says, what is his average speed? So good, it would be miles per hour.
What does average speed mean by?
Well, that's what I was saying. Like when he averaged 54, does that mean he went 54 the whole time? Close that Chromebook. Sometimes he went faster than 54, sometimes he went slower than 54, but it averaged out to 54 miles an hour.
I got something like that wrong with my learning. It was like average.
Yeah.
I put average or at least 32 miles per hour.
The length of a violin string varies inversely with the frequency of its vibrations. I'm not going to pretend that I really understand that one. That's getting into like music and physics and stuff. But I do know that inversely means it's going to be L equals K over F. If you want to write Y equals K over X, like keep the X and the Y, that's fine. But I'm just using the letters that are given in the problem. They said L for the length of the string and F for frequency. All right. A violin string 14 inches long. So we're going to put 14 for L, 14 for length. Has a frequency of 450. So I'm going to put 450 for frequency. What would you do to both sides?
Divide by 450.
Not divide.
Times.
You're going to times by 450. The other thing you can do, if you don't even really feel like writing that, is you can go, oh, it says inversely. That means I multiply them. It's the other thing you can do. All right. So is it 450 times 14? You want to estimate that one? I don't know what that's.
Times 14. 9,872.
Well, I had it up there. 6,300
Was that
is K. No, it's 6,300. So you're gonna start back over. L equals 6,300 over F. And what does it say to write? And just read it. I don't want to read to you. That teaches you to not read. What does it say write? Write the equation. This is the equation, so we're done. It didn't say to plug in anything else. It just said, what's the equation? Basically, find the K values. All that is.